Hello! Hey, it's Dren, and I'm back. I was on vacation and then got really busy with a bunch of projects and have not been able to make a new video. So here I am making a new video for you. I've been very involved in a lot of sound design in these projects lately, and I realized that I haven't discussed sound design a lot here, apart from the sound design and music video, this one that I'll link to here. So there was that one, but this one is going to be more about pure sound design, and I just started toying with a new workflow that I'm enjoying, and I thought I'd share it with you. I know a lot of people are using, typically use Pro Tools for sound design. A lot of you are converting over to Reaper, and Reaper is pretty awesome too. I'm still so used to a lot of the tools in Logic that I still do everything in Logic. I started with it with music and still found a way to integrate sound design into my workflow in Logic. But I'm also using Reaper, so I'll show you how I'm kind of doing that with some of the sound design stuff. So here, I'll just quickly get into it. Here's the screen. Okay, cool. So here is the screen. So I've got a session set up here. The particular project I'm working on required some interdimensional portals open and closing. So this project's been announced, but maybe I'm not going to say exactly what this is yet, but I will later. So anyway, portals, opening and closing. It's not Portal. It's not Valve. It's not a Portal game. It's a totally different thing. So you can see here I've got some various elements. What I've been doing here, and let me switch over to Reaper. You can see I got Reaper open over here. And over here I've got Reaper, I've set up this tool called the Media Explorer. You can see it way down there. And this is basically reading all the metadata from all of my sound effects libraries, and it puts it all in here. I can search for something real quick, like, let's see, I want to look for this, for the recordist. And here's a bunch of stuff from the recordist. And the recordist, if you don't know, is Frank Bree, who is absolutely, without a doubt, the nicest guy in all of North Idaho, and a great sound effects recordist. So I have a lot of his stuff. Okay, so you can search for things. Let's say I want to search for fire, brush, and then I can find some things with brush in it. And then I can also audition them down here. So I don't know if that's probably not coming through. I don't think I set Reaper to go through here, but you get the idea. You can go through here and you can see the waveform. It's better than using Finder, probably not as good as using SoundMiner or the other one, I'm forgetting its name, but it's a cheap alternative. And if I wanted to, I could create a little channel strip here. I could put in whatever plugins I wanted to do, put them into this track, and I got to audition these sounds through those plugins if I wanted to. Anyways, I've been using that to find my source, and then I can easily just drag it on into Logic right here. So that's been my workflow between Reaper and Logic. I'm just going to delete this. Then once I get into Logic, and I'll open this up a little more, you can see I've got a bunch of different sounds here. So fire, ignite, charcoal. Now the reason I have a lot of variations here is because later, once I get my layers together, which will probably be 3 layers of each type of element, I'm going to put those into a game engine. I'm putting it into Fmod, which is audio middleware. Maybe I'll do a part 2 and show you how I do that. This is why I have some different variations of each of these sounds. So I'm creating 3 variations of each element, and then I'm taking those 3 elements, putting them into Fmod, and then I'm creating the sound event in Fmod, usually from 4 or 5 different tracks. each one of those tracks will trigger a different one of these elements. So it's always randomizing a little bit of pitch, a little bit of volume, and always randomizing the files that it plays together, so the sound is always a little bit different, which is something you want to have in a game. You don't want it to always sound exactly the same every time, because then your ear starts to notice that this is the same exact sound and it's not very real anymore. So you can see I've got a bunch of these ignite charcoal variations. I've got these fire burst, gas crackles, and this is one thing I like about Frank's libraries too, is it gives you a lot of these options with some really great descriptions of what they are. Then I've got some other ones, some poofs here, some oil. Anyway, I just was dragging stuff over, dragging it, and then listening to it all. And then when I decided I found something that I could use, sometimes I would color code it, but I created a new track stack here at the bottom of the session, which is the design section of the session. This may be not new to many of you, but this is a new thing that I've been doing for the last year or two, and it's a way I like to work. So if I see something, if I audition something over here, I'm like, okay, yeah, I want that sound, so I can just copy it and then bring it down here. Maybe I want to try it down here and hear how it sounds working with the other sounds. So then I'll just solo up my track stack and I can hear some of these variations. So this is basically what I'm doing. And maybe I wanted to hear, I'll duplicate that. Maybe I wanted to hear this one instead of this one. So how does that sound? So I can hear it with the same, I've got these same plugins on it, and see if this is something that I should do for this portal. So this way I can go through, and you can see I did color code each group of sounds, each element of sounds. So all of these are orange, the first group. The second group's all green. Third group's all orange. And this one is in blue. And the last one, the thunder stuff, is purple. So you can see how I've just kind of put these together. I don't bounce these out together as one thing. As I said, I'm just bouncing out each one of these elements as a separate element and then grouping them together later in Fmod. On here that I do have, it's off right now, but I have a bus, it's a delay and a reverb. That was just so I could audition how it would sound, but I didn't want to bounce every single one of these out with that bus reverb and delay on it, because it would really build up and probably not sound very natural. The whole idea of having the delay and the reverb together with these sounds was to try and glue them all into the same space, right? So we wanted to sound like all these sounds are creating the same tail, the reverb and the delay. So what I ended up doing was just using a reverb on the master bus in Fmod that would do basically what I'm doing here. But I didn't want to bounce it out with all these files. I felt like we'd have some buildup that was going to sound unnatural. While I was in the session, I also did some closed portal sounds. Some of them are just the reversed versions of this, but then, well, no, I kept the oil in there. I took out the thunder is what I took out, and then I put in these impacts with these reverse cymbals. So you can hear kind of how those were going, and then, you know, here's the variation, right? And so these are how they all kind of work together. I took everything from way up here, and you can see there was a lot. I was grabbing from all this stuff that I had kind of auditioned previously, took parts of them, brought them over here, and then did the design for the sounds all through here with this track stack. If you don't know how to make a track stack, it's very easy. You just select the tracks that you want, and then right click, and then you can say create track stack, and then it gives you an option. You want a folder stack, which just does no processing the audio side. It just kind of holds them together to organize them. or a summing stack, which is I usually do because I'll add some processing that'll go to all those tracks. And one thing you can see is that I've got this channel EQ with a high pass. Why, you say, with all these cool Portal sounds, would you have a high pass on the whole track stack? Well, the answer is that it's all going through here later. So it's all VR, and they have these tiny little silly speakers in here. And if I try to put anything on the low end of anything, it's usually 120, 100 below, something like that. If you try and pump anything slightly loud at those lower frequencies through that thing, it'll just be a mess. So I count on people not really using separate headphones to put on with a VR headset. Getting the VR headset on your head, on your face, is a problem enough. Most people don't want to also add cans and then plug that in to the VR headset. So I'm banking on the idea that most people are going to just use those speakers. So I can't put a lot of low end through it. All right, so there's the setup of the sound design. And then just a little bit of career stuff here for you. When I was first kind of getting started in the games world, it became really apparent to me that I had to have something besides music skills and music production skills to get my foot in the door and to get as many job opportunities as possible. Plus, I enjoyed sound design. I think the very first computer peripheral that I ever bought for my Mac 512K was a little audio digitizer box that I could plug in to the back with the serial port, and had a crappy little microphone, and I would play movies back through the microphone and sample everything in the movies. And there was a game called Crystal Quest that you could play on the Mac way back then, and it had this option where you could get in and edit all the sounds. So I was going through and sampling all sorts of funny, mostly comedy movies, and then putting those into this game called Crystal Quest. So I've had a history of being really interested in sound design, so this was nothing that I was not excited about doing. I really did want to investigate and learn more about sound design and field recording and all that sort of thing. So when I first started getting into the game world, adding sound design to my list of things that I could help with, because I don't really code, there are a lot of audio things I can do. Adding sound design was a big one. So I can do music and sound design. And then soon after I kind of got into this world and the game industry, there became an opportunity for studios to want to hire people that could do both things. Early work that I did on, say, like Facebook games, like social games, like Ravenwood Fair. So if I could do both of them, that was a good call on my part to be able to do both. And then we got mobile games soon after, and a mobile game developer, which might have had 5 people in the studio, didn't want to hire 2 more people to do sound design. They just wanted one person to do the audio, all of it. And so when I could come in and say, yeah, I can do the music and the sounds, come on in. So it gave me a lot more opportunities, and it gave me a lot more different ways that I could pay the bills with the skills I had. Some of the time, and especially on this project that I will share with you later, there are moments where sound design is the best choice. Having a non-musical moment is sometimes the best choice. This particular project is using mixed reality, and we're getting into kind of tricky, existential ideas about how do we use sound in mixed reality. Having non-diegetic music doesn't lend itself to mixed reality very well. Anyhow, there's my little spiel about sound design and adding that to your repertoire, to your bag of tricks, and I guess I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.